my zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it soul. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a waffle wherever the ball go. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown and this W and head home.
What's good, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to another Game Day Live. Week 5, Cowboys, Rams, Skywalker still, Jesse Holley. We about to discuss it and see what happens here with the Dallas Cowboys, man. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate y'all for being here. A lot to get into, and this, of course, is presented by Underdog Fantasy. Make sure y'all use the promo code ATOZ. They will match a deposit up to $100. I got my high-low picks for later, Jesse, and I feel good. I say this every week, and I got a little greedy last week.
You got a lot of greedy last week. You got a lot of greedy last week.
So if y'all want to see my picks, go on our Instagram, go on the Twitter. They're out there, and then later we'll discuss whether they'll hit or not. But, hey, welcome to the show. We got some game day catch-up stuff to get into. My man Jesse Holley, one of the hardest working dudes in this industry.
Man.
How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good. I've been trying to preserve my voice.
Yeah.
It's been off and on all week, but I'm here. I got some left in me. I got to finish out this week strong. And if I'm the hardest worker, you're definitely ahead of me. So if you're here. I'm right under you, but you're more youthful than I am. So that part you have in my favor.
See, you say I'm more youthful, but the Bomb Squad. Shout out to y'all. They'll take that and they'll spin it because they assume that I'm 60 years old. I don't know why, but they just think I'm old. But anyway, man, it's good to have you here, of course, and we're going to talk about who is available and who is not, speaking of, feeling good and whatnot. And, of course, in our game day catch-up, we got some news that we got to get to that hit the Cowboys late in the week. But first, let's get to the inactives, right? Dak Prescott's going to be out. Thumb is still healing. Looks like the swelling may have went down. We'll see what happens with that. So maybe something we'll discuss in the post-game show. Jalen Tolbert, another week, another inactive week. We are in week 5. He's been inactive for 4 of these 5 weeks, Jesse.
Yeah, that's becoming concerning to me. A guy who's drafted in the 3rd round can't find a way to make the game day roster. You'll be in a healthy scratch for 4 out of the 5 weeks. That to me, that speaks volumes on where he's at mentally, because clearly it's not physical. Not a physical thing. He's not hurt.
No.
So where he's at mentally compared to the other guys and how coach feels about playing him, and that's a little bit worrisome to me.
We say it every week, but in a wide receiver room that's not really stacked, right? And I understand that Noah Brown has stepped up. You got Gallup and you got Lamb. That's 3 guys. The league usually carries about 5 or 6. A little bit interesting. He's not available here, but 3rd round pick. Maybe this end up being a redshirt year, and we'll see what happens next year. But it doesn't look like this is one of those seasons where Jalen Tolbert is going to get a lot of snaps.
And maybe this is crucial to guys who are coming into this league. When you're a 3rd round pick and you aren't cracking that top 3 wide receiver position, you have to find your way on special teams.
Yeah.
And I think guys like Noah Brown, guys like Simi Fehoko, Turpin have found ways to get on those special teams. And so, it ain't all about a lot of times just going out there being able to be a receiver. To be a game day active participant, if you're not in those top 3 or 4 spots, you have to find your way on special teams. And I think that's the part that Jalen Tolbert is figuring out, that special teams matter in the big boy league.
100%. Marquise Bell also inactive. Devin Harper, Nashawn Wright, Quentin Bohanna came up. He's been on an injury report the last few weeks. Came out earlier today that he would be doubtful due to the neck and shoulder injury. He did not return in that game last week, I believe, with the shoulder situation. He's been a limited participant all week. Low-key, a pretty significant injury here because Quentin Bohanna has been playing really well against the run. He's been the anchor of that defense when they decide to line him up at that nose. He's been giving a lot of centers and guards trouble, so he's out. Insert the old vet, Carlos Watkins, who we all forgot is on the special or on the practice squad.
Right.
They called him up, so Los will get a shot here. How significant do you think the Bohanna injury could be this week?
It's huge because the thing that's gotten that defensive line, the pressure that it's gotten this year is the rotation.
Yeah.
It's being for those big guys in the middle, Bohannon, Neville Gallimore, those guys that have that rotation, not having to play every single snap, but being able to come in and spare each other so that when you get to the fourth quarter, you're more fresh. And so not having him in there, and he's been a huge factor. Those guys have been huge in that middle to allowing those guys on the outside to get to the quarterback. So not having him in here, now having to insert Pat Watkins into that.
Carlos.
Sorry, Pat Watkins. That's my old team.
You play, about to say.
I'm sorry. Carlos Watkins into that spot. You know, he's going to have to come along as well and kind of catch up to what those other guys have been doing. But not having him, Bohanna, in that situation definitely hinders that rotation that they've had this year, and it's been working well for them.
I tell you what, if there was a guy to come in and make me feel better about losing Bo, who's playing great, Los would be that guy. Carlos Watkins came in last year, filled in for that one-tech spot, I think pretty well, for a guy who wasn't one-tech built. And he's not necessarily one-tech built now, but he is bigger. Seen him out there at camp. He is definitely over 300.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not 330 like Bohanna is, but I think he plays that well. He plays it sound. I'm okay with Watkins being there, but losing Bohanna definitely does not bode well. However, and Bo's been moving for a big dude, but Los is a bit smaller, a bit quicker, and you may need that today and we'll get to it here with the offense, the way that the Rams run it. And then finally, I think the biggest inactive today and the biggest news that dropped in Cowboys Nation over the last few days is Jason Peters. He's out with a chest injury, and he may be out for a few weeks. 40 years old, your body's just not the same as it was when you were younger. Did we expect something to happen? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Unfortunately, it happened early as he's still trying to ramp up. So now no Jason Peters against the Aaron Donald-led defense of the Rams, where Connor McGovern, who is still recovering. I don't think he looked all that great from a health standpoint last week. He definitely didn't play that great last week. It's going to be Connor McGovern today, unless they decide to give Fournier a run. But
please, if y'all can hear me in L.A., please do not give it to Fournier. Please, do not.
I'm curious. I wish we could have a conversation with Coach and say, well, is there still going to be a rotation? Is Connor McGovern still getting ramped up, or is he the guy that's going to get the 60 snaps? But no Jason Peters. Is this a significant loss, or is this kind of just, dang, man, like you was ramping up, now you got to re-ramp up again?
The way that they were kind of doing this thing, they had this rotation. It would be Peters, it would be McGovern, and they were kind of going back and forth with that. And I thought they were getting to a place that they would have Jason Peters be the full-time left guard because he just has that. He's a wide body. He's strong. He's intelligent. But now not having him, this is one of those days where you miss the size, strength, and experience when you have to face an Aaron Donald. This is one of those times where that combination of having the size, the strength, and the experience of Jason Peters has faced Aaron Donald many times in his career, has faced players like Aaron Donald many times in his career. And so when you don't have him, you are now losing the size, experience, and strength of a Jason Peters. You're sitting there like you got something that so what is it?
Just the irony of what's happening on this line this year, right? Tyron goes down. We were nervous about left tackle.
Yeah.
Tyler Smith goes out there, and he holds it down well enough. And for a rookie, I think he's playing the best of all the dang on rookie tackles or rookie linemen. But it's been the left guard spot that's been very weird and in and out and injuries and inconsistencies. And the one dude that left this offseason, that as much as we got on him last year for penalties, one thing we didn't have to worry about was him being consistent. And that's Connor Williams. And he's the one dude who ain't scared of no dang Aaron Donald. And I don't want to go back, but I just think I'm smiling and laughing because I'm like, I didn't foresee left guard being the spot after the Tyron injury where it's so much uncertainty every freaking week.
Right.
Well, we didn't really have that uncertainty over the last 4 years. But it's just the irony of the situation is all. Only reason why I'm laughing.
No, and you're right. And I think there was a quote that Connor Williams came out when they asked him about, facing Aaron Donald. And it was like, I match up well with him because he's a lot of speed.
Yeah.
And I work well with speed. So I'm a speed kind of guy too, and so my speed and power matches his speed and power. And that's the thing about Aaron Donald is that he's a rare breed of speed, power, agility, and he has a toolbox full of tools.
Yeah.
So him being able to do that, this is going to be a tough matchup today for McGovern. We'll see how he holds up.
100%. And now we're done with the inactive parts of the situation and the game day catch-up. Perfect time to segue into, the Cowboys offense against that Rams defense, which we know is led by Aaron Donald, right? But this Rams defense, I've been just watching it all week and just looking at it, studying. I'm saying it's just a weird defense because they're not the elite defense that they might have been over the years, but they have elite players. They're not a porous defense, but they've given up chunks, they've given up spots. They look very much like a mediocre defense on paper, but don't get it twisted. They got guys, right? The Bobby Wagners of the world, the Jalen Ramsleys, the Aaron Donalds, the Leonard Floyds. And before we dive into those guys, I kind of want to point out some numbers for the Cowboys where they have to buck these trends this week. Over the last 3 weeks, the Cowboys' 3-and-out rate, and shout out to Sharp Football for these statistics, have went from 10%, 27%, 46%. So we're increasing the 3-and-out rates. The Cowboys' touchdown rates over the last 3 weeks, 20%, 18%, 15%. They also have been one of the bottom third, I believe, in third down conversions. More numbers here for you. This isn't great. 63% of the Cowboys scoring plays have been field goals. That is the highest rate in the league. The average is 42%. Where I'm getting at is something I've been saying to you for weeks. I don't like this pressure that they're putting on the defense. I don't like this pressure, Jesse, because the Cowboys defense eventually is going to have one of those games. Now, will it be this game? We'll talk about that in the next block here. But I think the Cowboys offense is going to have to do some things to help your defense out today against some guys that can wreck your game in Aaron Donald and those boys.
Well, I'll start with the Rams defense. And one of the reasons why those guys aren't as efficient or effective as you saw them before in the past, I think it's 2 reasons. One, you miss Von Miller. And despite what you may feel about Von Miller was a guy who was he's just a football playing dude, right? He's a future Hall of Famer, and he was a guy who really anchored that defensive line. And he gave other guys like Floyd and Donald opportunities to win at their position. The second thing is this Rams offense isn't scoring at a rate that it once scored a year ago.
Very true.
So not having Odell Beckham, not being able to score points. See, the thing that you can do when you're a defense and your team is up 10, 12, 14 points, it allows you now to pin your ear backs and just be all out aggressive. But now they're playing that in-between game of, man, we're not doing too well this year as far in the scoring department. Yes, Cooper Kupp is having his outstanding year with all his catches, but Matthew Stafford, 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. They're not as explosive as they were a year or so ago. So now this defense doesn't have the ability to just be flat out aggressive like they were in the past. So missing Von Miller and then not having the points on offense being scored has made this defense a little bit pedestrian and mundane. But don't get it twisted. And vulnerable, but don't get it twisted. Those guys can still get after it. You can't challenge Jalen Ramsey too many times like you've done in the past because he will intercept it. If you think you're going to line up one-on-one all day long with Aaron Donald, he will wreck a game plan as well. So the Cowboys offensively have to make sure that they are, converting their third downs. They have to make sure that they're scoring touchdowns because if this Rams team gets an opportunity to get a lead, now you're facing a defense with those dogs you talked about coming at you every single day. And we saw in the last week when Cooper Rush is sped up and he has to his timing has to be sped up in the sense of when he's made to throw and not ready to throw, that can cause problems offensively for the Cowboys.
I might have to start thinking about that one. Made to throw instead of ready to throw. That's very interesting. Well, here's one thing about Cooper Kupp that, he does, I don't know if you want to use the term well, but this is his game, and it's the quick game.
Cooper Rush.
Just say Cooper Rush?
You said Cooper Kupp.
I've been doing this
I did the same thing all week. I did the same thing all week.
All freaking week I've been mixing these Coopers up.
Yes.
Cooper Bowl. But one of the things that Cooper Rush has been doing at a steady pace is kind of getting the ball out fast,
Yes.
right? And I talked about this week, one of the things I think the Cowboys have to do is utilize the quick game. When I watch the Cardinals and when I watch the San Francisco 49ers, I noticed one thing that the Rams do against all these teams. They play a lot of off coverage. I don't think they don't want to give up the big play.
Right.
So what they're doing is they're allowing them to play underneath. And the Cowboys have made plays where they've just turned around, smoke screen, tunnel screen, get it out to the wide receiver, maybe check with me, kill, and they throw it out to Noah Brown or CD Lamb. And they've been getting chunk yards off of that, and that could be an extension of the run game, by the way.
Yep.
So what I think they need to do is take advantage of that, do some of that quick stuff, and then I call it bait and switch. Now once you got the Rams secondary paying attention to that quick game, they'll start biting. They did that here against the 49ers last week. But Jimmy Garoppolo, who this is the gift and the curse about being quick, when you're so fast at getting the ball out, you miss these opportunities. And we've seen that with Cooper Rush throughout the week. But I think if you game plan it this way, I don't think he'll miss those things because we did it against the New York Giants a few weeks ago. They ran out this orbit motion with Tony Pollard. You had these guys pay attention to Pollard, and an amazing sell fake here with CD Lamb, and boom, he's wide open for a big gain, and you score on the next play. So I think we have to use that quick game, especially because this is a defense that's been good against the run.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, that quick game. But when you talk about the two teams, you talked about the Niners and the Cardinals.
Yeah.
These are the teams that play those teams twice a year, every year.
They know them.
So when they're in that division, they know them. They know the things that they like to do, that they can't do, that they're bad at, that they're good at, and so they're able to exploit those things because this is a consistent matchup that they see every single year. For the Cowboys, they have to be able to get into that bag and stay in that bag.
Right.
It's something that they don't normally do, and that's the thing about Kellen Moore is that if you're going to game plan for it, you not only have to, one, do it, you have to stick to it.
Yeah.
You can't come to it early in the game and then not have the counter to it.
But dribble with a purpose.
Right. And so that's the thing about the Cowboys is when you watch these games and you see the other teams, because I know a lot of people came to me and was like, well, I'm not afraid of the Rams because I saw what the 49ers did to the Rams. And my simple rebuttal was just simply, are you the Niners? Right? Are you built like the Niners? Because the Niners, say what you want about them, they just have the Rams number.
And they have an identity.
They have an identity. They're going to run the ball in a physical manner. They're also going to use pre-snap motions. They're going to also get the ball out on the perimeter. They're going to do all those things where they know they can be successful at. So for the Cowboys, you have to come out and establish yourself early in this football game, whatever that identity is going to be, and then be ready to counterpunch off of that later on in this football game.
I couldn't have said it any better. Establish whatever the identity is going to be and counter. And that could be whether you want to say quick game with the bait and switch, whether that be run game with the play action, but you got to continue to do the things that I think have been working with this Cooper Rush-led offense. And it's a lot of play action, and it's a balanced offense. I don't think you want to get into a situation, although they are 25th in sack percentage, I don't think you want to get to a situation where you have to throw the ball. We say this every week, but I don't think anybody really wants to throw the ball 40-plus times a game. But I don't know that you want to test AD and Jalen over and over and over. Jalen Ramsey, AD, as an Aaron Donald over again. And this leads me to my other question here. Those are the two guys, right? And Cowboys Nation, you guys can jump in here too. Shout out to y'all in the chat. Y'all know how it is on game day. I see y'all here, but we got to get through it here. But appreciate the bomb squad in the building. Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, those are the big names here.
Yes.
But aside from Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, who is somebody you're looking at the Rams defense and you're like, hey, don't forget about this guy because he can end up making a play or he can end up being a problem today?
Greg Gaines.
Greg Gaines. Interesting.
And here's the reason why. Because it's crazy because a lot of the teams that we played this year has been kind of almost mirror image of what the problems that we've had, they've had. And the problems that we've had is interior offensive linemen. And so while now you're playing Connor McGovern probably full-time today, and you're looking at your center in Tyler Biotish, when you go back and you watch the Washington game last week, a lot of what they got going was from the interior.
Yeah.
They allowed those Allen boys and Payne and all those guys to get the interior pressure to Cooper Rush, and that allowed him. Now, that was some of it because they were going one-on-one matchup, 5-on-5, and they weren't winning those one-on-one battles, and Cooper Rush was doing a lot of fadeaway passes, got bailed out 2 times in those interceptions with penalties. But Greg Gaines is another guy, 335-something pounds. He now allows Aaron Donald to move up and down that defensive line. He'll be over the guard. Talking about Aaron Donald will be over the guard. He'll play in. He'll play three technique. He'll play all over the place. But Greg Gaines is a guy who can command a double team. And if you leave him one-on-one, he's big enough, he's strong enough, he's agile enough to create penetration, to stuff your run game. So he's a guy that on the inside, while you're looking for number 99, make sure you don't forget about number 91 because he can be a guy who can wreck your game plan from the middle of that defense.
Now, that's a fantastic point, especially now that you don't have a Jason Peters.
Yep.
And we've seen that there's been DJ Reader, Vita Vea, Golston. The interior has been very up and down throughout this year. Dexter Lawrence gave him problems, and now you're running into Aaron Donald, right, and his running mate. So, yeah, that's definitely –
And they watched the film from last week, so they're going to test and see, hey, did you figure this out? Did you go back and clean up that interior problem that you were having that allowed the Washington Commanders to penetrate that offensive line?
My guy is Leonard Floyd.
Yep.
Because he's been shut out this year in the sack department. Right, he had 23 sacks over the last 2 seasons coming into this year. He's a guy that has the talent, top 10 pick I think it was at one point, got the big contract and has been producing. But he doesn't have any sacks. And that worries me because I know we're in game 5 now. The competitive edge a guy has like that, combined with this talent. Then I went and looked at some of the Cardinals tape and looked at some of the Niners tape. He getting close.
Yeah.
And what I don't want to happen is what happened last year in Minnesota where somebody slips and forgets to block a guy, and now you get a sack fumble, and now they get an extra possession.
Right.
So Leonard Floyd is a guy to keep your eye on because he is still very talented, very good. He just hasn't gotten home yet. And they are, like I said, 25th in sack percentage. He's been shut out. So I know he's ready to get on this dang on board. And for as much as there's a Jalen Ramsey, right, I don't believe in the opposite cornerback as much. So when you say, well, who's the opposite cornerback, who does he have to go up against? Michael Gallup, who you want to talk about being hungry. Michael Gallup's like, oh, this knee's okay.
Yeah.
I scored a touchdown. I jumped up in the air, got some DPIs. I'm ready now. I'm ready to go out there and get 40, 50, 60 snaps. And if Jalen Ramsey travels with CeeDee Lamb, oh, wow. Big interception there. Looks like this game.
No, he stripped it. He took it from him.
Oh, okay.
The defender, the offensive guy for the Chicago was running, and he came up behind him and just took it from him.
If you guys don't know, we do our pregame show during all the craziness of the early games, and the fans are fantastic. But so the reason why I say Leonard Floyd and I use Michael Gallup because if Cooper Rush can get time on non-play action plays, because it's the non-play action plays where it's been struggled. The play action, he's been great. The non-play action plays, he will throw it up. And if it's Michael Gallup down there, it ain't 50-50 to me. It's either a defensive pass interference or Michael Gallup's coming down with that thing. That's just how I look at it. So I would love for them to hold up in the pass blocking department against obviously AD, but Leonard Floyd, and allow Cooper Rush some time to, because at some point in the game, he's going to have to test it deep. And I would love for it to be with Michael Gallup.
And this is the thing when you look at Cooper Rush, and shout out to my guy Bobby Belt for this particular stat. But Cooper Rush, his passer rating is 50% higher this season when he targets the middle of the field opposed to going outside the hashes.
Numbers, yeah.
Right? His completion percentage goes from 76.5% in the middle of the field to 58% on the outside of the hashes. While you want to go, and I agree with you, I think having Michael Gallup on the outside and having that other deep threat, you have to understand your quarterback, he isn't that good. That ain't his bag. Throwing outside the hashes, throwing those deep balls, throwing that ball down the field, that's not really where he shines at.
No.
He shines more when that ball is right in the middle. That's why you see a lot of his passes come in between those hashes.
Yep.
That's where he's more comfortable at. That's where he's more accurate at. So when he starts spreading the ball outside of the field, no matter who the corner is, but you got to make sure that your quarterback is able to make those and deliver those passes outside the hashes. So
no, that's a fantastic point. And maybe we should, or I should look at it a little bit differently. Instead of the 50-50 ball deep, maybe you get some more Michael Gallup on some. We didn't really see him on those slants last week.
No.
Right? I really didn't see him get some of the quick game. We really didn't see him get those tunnels, which he was fantastic with last year, right? Throw it out to MG, make somebody miss. Now he's down the field for 20, 30 yards. So maybe we'll see a little bit more of that. But, yeah, that's a great point. That's always been my worry with Cooper Rush is that he doesn't have the arm strength outside the hashes, whether it be short, medium, or deep. that's not his game.
Right.
And we've dodged some bullets in the Cincy game, and we dodged some bullets with those deep passes against Washington. But even still, I do think you have to kind of, back these dudes up so that we can have some room to run, which if you go and watch, though, the Rams defense, they're doing a really good job of their front. And Bobby Wagner, we didn't even talk about Bobby. Bobby Wagner has helped in that department. He's, I think, number 1 in run stop percentage from a linebacker standpoint, or maybe top 5 in run stop percentage. So
Bobby Wagner and Von Miller could have been Micah Parsons' teammates. Think about that for a second.
Yeah.
I let that ponder for your mind. Bobby Wagner and Von Miller could have been Micah Parsons' teammates.
I think Wagner on this team, on this defense, would be fantastic.
Imagine Wagner and Von Miller on this defense.
Yeah, both.
Holy moly, guacamole.
But I'll take one.
Yeah.
I'll take one. Speaking of which, we're going to switch over to the defensive side of the ball in a second, but this is the Game Day Live pregame show presented by Underdog Fantasy. Remember, ATOZ is a promo code if you want to participate in the Pick'em Slips, which hang tight, Cowboys Nation. I got my Pick'ems this week. I'm feeling great about it, okay? I feel like I'm a hit, even though I ain't hit on Thursday. But I feel like I'm a hit. And you can use that insurance, too. Don't forget about that insurance. So you brought up having potentially Bobby Wagner on this defense or Micah Parsons on this defense, or Von Miller on this defense. I feel great about this matchup, to be honest with you. And here's why. Matt Stafford is playing like crap right now. Let me preface this. I feel great from a personnel standpoint. I get to where I feel gives me the itches about it.
Okay.
I feel great from a personnel standpoint because Allen Robinson is disappeared in this offense for whatever reason. It's pretty much Cooper Kupp or bust, who is not really killing teams, right? He's just catching a lot of balls and not getting a whole bunch of yak. The running game hasn't really been intact. The offensive line is in shambles at this moment. And Matt Stafford is in one of those Matt Stafford funks when he's throwing pick sixes and a whole bunch of picks. So I feel great from a individual player standpoint. Where my skin crawls and I itch a little bit and I tick a little bit is thinking about Sean McVay looking at the film and saying, oh, your linebackers is hesitant? Oh, your defensive ends aren't quite setting that edge? Oh, y'all giving up all these yards on the outside? Y'all having trouble with the eye candy? Oh, we about to eye candy y'all to death today. So that is my worry, Jesse. But kind of elaborate on what you see with this Rams defense in the matchup with the Cowboys.
I think with the Rams.
Rams offense.
Yeah, with the Rams offense, it comes down to this. The Rams offensively, it starts with the offensive line. You don't have a really good offensive line. No. And one of the reasons why Cooper Kupp has the numbers that he's had, because in this offense, he is the first read. Okay? So now if he's the first read in every single set of this offense and the offensive line is not holding up, that means Matthew Stafford has no time to get to Allen Robinson, to Higbee, and those other guys who are the second and third reads in this offense. This is why Cooper Kupp is having the way the season he's having, because being the first look in an offense with an offensive line who isn't playing well. So the ball is coming out quick, so quick to Cooper Kupp, that he's not that Cooper. I know Cooper this, Cooper that. That Matthew Stafford isn't being able to get to his second and third reads in this offense. And that wasn't the case a year ago. It was Cooper Kupp who was the first read, followed by Odell Beckham, then followed by Higbee and other guys in this offense. And that's when it was spread around so much. And now that opened up running lanes for guys like Henderson and like Akers. They don't have that right now because this offensive line is so bad. So the Cowboys have to be really, really, really good up front, continue to create the pressure to not allow Matthew Stafford to get to his second and third reads of Allen Robinson and Tyler Higbee.
Comfortably.
Give Cooper Kupp his first read, whether that be short passes, and allow him to get his, but you can't let him get through the progression and get to his second and third reads. That's when they get into a rhythm, and that's when Sean McVay really can hurt you, because he's going to get Cooper Kupp on linebackers, on safeties, in crossing, in picks and rubs. He's going to do all of those things throughout the day in this matchup. But if you let him get his, plus the other guys get theirs, you're now finding yourself in a very difficult situation to stop.
And that's been the thing. They haven't gotten their other guys off at
right.
all season. And one of the things that I noticed when looking up the Rams offense was that Matt Stafford has thrown all of his interceptions against a 4-man rush. It's kind of that umbrella coverage, if you want to call it, that clog and cover coverage that's been giving him a ton of trouble. And 5, I believe, of his 6 picks, if not all of them, have come targeting Cooper Kupp or Tyler Higbee, a.k.a. Huckabee is what I call him. Huckabee, sir.
I'll be your Huckabee. I'll be your Huckleberry.
Yeah, all right. So I'm looking at it this way. Don't fall into the temptation of having to blitz Matt right now. Like, Matt Stafford has been okay against the blitz, nothing crazy, but he's struggling most with having to go through the sea of defenders and finding his guy and forcing it to his guy. And, hell, sometimes he's reluctant to come off that first read. He's gonna go to that first read through hook or crook.
Right.
And so just be prepared. And you talked about having, McVay doing a fantastic job of getting Kupp on the linebacker or on a safety, things like that. That's why I think the LVEs, the Anthony Barrs, maybe a Jabril Cox plays today since he's active. I don't know. The J-Ron Curses, who is back today. Like, the middle of the field is going to have to do a fantastic job of clogging, covering, and tackling.
Yes.
Tackle. Kupp might get 10 completions today. But if you tackle him and they're only for 80 yards, that's a dub.
Right.
That's 8 yards per catch, which he's only averaging like 9.
And I want to add one more to that. And communicating. To be sounding when you're passing guys through zones, to have that communication saying, when he's coming through, because the last thing you don't want to do is lose him.
Yeah.
Don't lose Cooper Kupp at any point in time today. Just make sure that communication is very, very clear about who has what. And when you're passing guys through that zone, make sure that they know that he's coming through there.
And that's something they have done a really good job of, and they're getting back one of their best communicators, one of their best defenders today in J-Ron Curse. This will be the first time this year, since week 1 really, you'll have that 3-headed monster at safety. And honestly, I personally think you're better now than you were then, because you got the confidence of Donovan Wilson rolling.
Yes.
You got the confidence of Malik Hooker being that guy back there rolling. And now you insert a dude like J-Ron who can be a tight end eraser, right, if you put him on a Tyler Higbee. Which brings me to my next question, kind of same question I had earlier. Other than a Cooper Kupp, who's the one guy offensively that you kind of got your eye on for the Rams that, hey, watch out here, don't let this guy get off?
Allen Robinson. Like, that is – because while we're saying Cooper Kupp and Cooper Kupp and Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson is a guy who is one of the best route runners, one of the best all-around receivers in the league. Now, like I said earlier, they haven't had time, the Rams offensively, to get to their second and third reads.
Yeah.
But you just can't have guys like, Anthony Brown or Deron Bland or whoever's going to be playing against a guy like Allen Robinson. Because make no mistake about it, Sean McVay, he hears what they've been saying across the league. Everything's going to be forced into Cooper Kupp, where Cooper Kupp led. He knows what they're saying, and he knows what teams are looking at. So he's going to try to create some things to get those other guys going so that when they can come back to Cooper Kupp later on in that game. So for me, is you can't let a guy like Allen Robinson get going in this football game, because all the focus and attention is going to be on Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Don't let Allen Robinson get going at all to give another option for Matt Stafford.
That's a good one, because as much as we love Trayvon, but one thing, shout out to KD, I think he pointed this out. I don't believe Diggs has traveled all year. Now that could change, right? That could change today. He could travel with Cooper Kupp, but he's pretty much been on the right side, I think it is.
Yep.
All year, so they can dictate the matchup. So they can put Cooper Kupp over there, or they can say, all right, listen, we like the advantage of 6'2", 3", whatever Allen Robinson is, against Anthony Brown, who I think has been a solid enough cornerback too, but at the end of the day, he's not a lockdown guy.
Right. And
they're going to target him about 8-9 times a game. And they're looking at it as, if I can just get a couple on him, maybe even in the red zone, then that builds Allen Robinson's confidence, that builds my quarterback's confidence. So that is actually a really, really good one.
He missed it. Browns had a chance to win the game, and he missed it.
Wow. Overtime?
No, game over.
Game over, wow.
30-28. The Los Angeles Chargers win.
Got to give it to the Browns, though, man. They're playing some good ball without their guy, but you got to make that one. But my guy is, I believe, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, Tony Pollard's former teammate, Darrell Henderson, the running back. Because they have not, kind of like Allen Robinson. He hasn't been getting off the run game hasn't really been getting off. Both of these things are struggling, but if they find any success in it, that can turn things around for them in a hurry. And the Achilles heel so far, if there is one for the Cowboys, defense has been teams running on them at portions of the game. I say portions because the New York Giants had about a quarter where they did good and they scored a touchdown, but it wasn't so great. The Washington football people had a half and a series where they ran good, but overall, after that half, right, they kind of got shut down. But I don't want to see the Rams get off on the ground early because that's going to build confidence in the quarterback. That's going to build confidence in Sean McVay, who can build off of that play action. Because what he does a fantastic job of is his running game and his passing game are married. They look the same. And Cooper Kupp is a really damn good run blocker, too. So he'll come down and lay the wood on a Donovan Wilson or whoever.
Let me say this. For people who think Cooper Kupp is this small slot Wes Welker receiver.
No.
Go look. He's not, ladies and gentlemen. Cooper Kupp is 6'2", 210, 12 pounds. All right? So he may look like he's a little small, kind of scat white wide receiver. He ain't.
No, he be knocking dudes
He's
out.
6'2", 212 pounds. So when you see him go in there,
they use him.
Yeah. So when you see him go in there and get a safety, get a linebacker, that ain't Wes Welker, ladies and gentlemen. That ain't Julian Edelman. No. That's a full-size grown man, and that's why he's durable enough to take on the pounding of blocking a linebacker or a safety, taking hits across the middle, but also can route you up from anywhere on the football field.
Yeah. So I don't want to see McVay having success using him as a blocker for Akers or Henderson, but I say Henderson because when they've had success on the ground, it's been with Darrell Henderson, and they can attack those edges, and then they can start getting the play action going, and now you're getting over routes, and now you're getting out one-on-ones, and I just don't want to see that. So Darrell Henderson's a guy who, if you can minimize him and Akers, obviously, then you put the ball in Matt Stafford's hands, and you allow Micah and D. Law and these guys to get right after Matt Stafford, and he can continue to turn that ball over, man.
No,
man, these games are crazy.
Taysom Hill.
Hawked.
Touchdown.
They score. These
Touchdown.
games are crazy, man.
Saints just went up on the Seahawks.
Seattle.
Yeah.
Man,
but no, you're absolutely right, and that's why it's going to be so imperative for guys like Carlos Watkins, for guys like Neville Gallimore, Tristan Hill, Osa, all those guys up front to really lock down that running game, to force those guys to be passers. And what we saw the last couple of weeks with Micah Parsons and why he has not had a sack in the last 2 weeks is because teams are now running at Micah Parsons. And it's not they're running at him to say like, but they're running at him to wear him down, to have that action come at him and him have to defeat 300-pound blockers over and over and over and over again, so that when they do get to a passing down later in the game, in the third quarter or the fourth quarter, because they want to catch Micah Parsons taking his break, taking his rest, because they've wore him out throughout the course of the game.
Well, the beautiful thing about the pass rush this year is it's not Micah or bust. They have had a fantastic pass rush by multiple guys this year. But I want to make sure we hold accountable our other defensive ends. I don't really so much worry about D-Law. I feel like he pretty much does a fantastic job setting the edge. But Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, I believe that's no Terrell Basham right now, but I need Dorrance and I need Dante Fowler to maintain the edges. And let's talk about the linebackers too. The Anthony Barrs and the LVEs. I need these guys to perform well because it hasn't been the interior guys, to keep it on, to be honest with you, this entire year. The interior guys have been doing their jobs, but the defensive ends, the Trayvon Diggses of the world, right, and he's a corner. So I'm really not trying to put too much pressure on you, but sometimes you're the last man out there, and they're going to run right at you, and I need you to kind of get a bit physical and take somebody out to push it back inside. I'm going to need DA and Fowler and whether it be Wilson or Kirk, any of these dudes, to maintain these edges and force them back inside to the LVEs and the Anthony Barrs and the Micah Parsons of the world. And Micah, too. I saw Micah jump inside a few times against Washington last week when he was playing defensive end. Hence why I would like to see him more at linebacker, but that's a discussion for something else. But, yeah, man, I feel like if our DEs maintain those edges, I feel like we'll be fine because I still do like this interior a lot. A whole lot. All right, it is that point of the show. We hit the third block as we get ready to wrap up and head into game time, where we hit high-low, the mouse in the house, and predictions. So let's go ahead and head on over to my Underdog Fantasy Week 5 Pick'em entries. By the way, guys, if you want to participate and partake in this fun game here, I got an easy and fun way for you to spice up your football season, right? Head on over to Underdog Fantasy and play their Pick'em game. Just look for your favorite or least favorite player stats. Pick whether you think they'll end up with a higher or lower total than that number in this week's game. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single night or day. Underdog keeps it simple, and they keep it easy by using their website and mobile apps. Again, pick between 2 to 5 players for your Pick'em entry. Get all your picks right, and you can take home some cold, hard cash. But there's also a caveat. If you don't get all your picks right and you're using insurance, you still can take home some money. So make sure to head over to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app and use the promo code ATOZ, and they will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ATOZ. Get in on that action today. I got in on that action, and I did a 4. I did, 5 last week? So let me bring it down a little bit.
You were 3, and then you was like, I got 5. I'm like, whoa.
Much, man, you know. I won the 3, but then I tried to jump up to 5. Slow down, Sky, slow down. So I did 4, so let's hit these things. Tony Pollard, who sold me out last week. Higher or lower, 44.5 rushing plus receiving yards today. Mind you, he did not have a great game last week. 44.5 combined yards. He did not hit that last week.
I'm gonna go higher. I'm gonna go higher.
I'm a little nervous about this one.
I am too.
Let me tell you why I'm nervous.
Why are you nervous?
Cowboys ain't really been using TP in the pass game, and I just can't figure out why not. Right? Like he's not. He should be featured as a passing option on this team, in my opinion. But they're not using him. Cooper Rush doesn't really throw to the running backs either.
Yeah.
But I'm just under this belief that he can't possibly have back-to-back games where he's held under 44 yards. So I'm like, nah, man. And I understand that this run defense is really good, but here's the thing about it. I watched TP go up against good run defenses, and all it took was 1.
Right.
All it took was 1. So all it's going to take is 1, and I think he'll get it. Just like Zeke did last week. I was like, under 13 passing yards.
The dump off.
The second play of the game, dumped it off 33 yards. So I got TP higher, Cowboys Nation. What y'all got? You said higher?
I got higher.
All right, you got higher as well. Y'all let us know in the chat. Y'all can play with this as well. Next one, CD Lamb, higher or lower than 5 receptions. He's been on quite a roll here over the last couple weeks, and he's like the second or third most targeted wide receiver since the start of the season. So higher or lower 5 receptions for CD Lamb.
I got higher. It's time for CD to break the 100-yard barrier. It's been a while. It's been like 11 weeks. It's time for him to get back in the 100-yard category. So I'm going to go higher. 5? Come on. You're number 1 receiver. You got to get more than 5 receptions.
He got like 4 on one series last week. So I got higher on this Cowboys
Then he threw for like
Nation.
6. So it's like,
I know.
You know what I mean?
It's so strange because like Cup will go to him in a series. He did it in New York. And then it's like.
We'll go to him.
Goodness gracious.
It's all good.
I'm done with this. Cooper. Coop will go to him, and then it's like, all right, let me go back to my man, who really is my man's. Noah
Brown, yeah. It's my man's in them.
That's my man's over there. So I got higher, man. I feel like he can get 3 of them things on one series. For the Rams, higher or lower, Matt Stafford, and this is one of the interceptions. A half an interception, meaning is he going to throw a pick or is he not?
Yeah, he's throwing a pick.
Yeah,
100%.
baby.
100%. It's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening.
I mean, he's throwing a pick in like every game except 1.
He has 6 interceptions, 4 touchdowns. It's happening.
He's getting, yeah.
The thing about Matthew Stafford is he'll throw. He never stops coming at you though. Like,
right.
He
was like Joe Burrow. Remember we talked about Joe? Yeah.
They're gonna keep coming at you. So whether he throws 1 pick or 2 pick doesn't matter to him. He's gonna keep coming at you, but definitely he's gonna throw at least 1 pick today.
1 pick, 2 pick, green pick, blue pick. Getting one.
Getting one. For sure.
We getting one. And I'm gonna take it 1 step further. I think a linebacker gets one today.
Ooh. What's the linebacker though?
I might surprise you on this one. I think he throws one to LV.
I was gonna say Anthony Barr.
I think he throws with LV. LVE, I mean, I think the linebackers have done a fine job in zone coverage this year, and I think they're going to be in zone coverage, and Stafford's going to try to either under pressure or get to his first read, or maybe he's one of those fake sugar A-gap blitzes, and he fires back.
Okay.
I think a linebacker gets a pick this week, man. I think it'll be LVE.
Pick for sure, though.
Yeah, 100%.
100%, I agree.
And then we talked about Allen Robinson earlier. Allen Robinson, higher or lower than 37.5 receiving yards?
You know, I have this eerie feeling that Allen Robinson is going to have one of those games today. I do. I feel like he's going to have one of those games where he finally gets off the snide and really like, Allen Robinson, that dude.
They going to kill me this week if Allen Robinson go off on Anthony Brown, because I had a caller in, shout out to Spock, who we had a nice little debate on Anthony Brown, and I'm sitting here like, man, Anthony Brown's been good. He's been a good cornerback. He's been fine. Whatever. He hasn't been great, but he's okay. But then I got nervous after I said that. Damn it. I done talked up Anthony Brown this week.
I done wrote an Anthony Brown check that my tail can't
cash it. He got to cash it for me, and we're going up against a quarterback who he don't give a damn. If he throws a pick, he don't care, right? He gonna throw it up, and not a lot. Our pass defense has been fantastic this year. Fantastic. Pass rush has been awesome. But I'm with you. I'm a little nervous, but I went with lower.
Ooh.
And maybe I went with lower because I just feel like he's gonna look at Cooper Kupp, and he's gonna look at Tyler Higbee, old Huckabee. If y'all don't know what Huckabee, go watch Cat Williams. But old Higbee, he gonna look at them, and by the time he get to A-Rob, sack. So I just don't feel like he's gonna be able to get that unless he go, man, I like this matchup over here, one-on-one. I'm just going to throw that thing up to A-Rob. And all it's going to take is one 40-yard reception, and now I'm done.
I think that's what it's going to be.
And then they're going to come at me. Scott told you AB ain't nothing.
I think it's going to be one of those, like, a 40-yard game. And, like, Allen Robinson might have, like, 3 for, like, 69 or 70 yards, but it's going to be one of them going to be a big play. Speaking of interception, your boy Carson Wentz did what he normally does in those moments. They were in scoring range. They were in the goal line to win the football game. And what did Carson Wentz do?
Threw a pick.
He threw a pick. Game over.
So game over?
Game over.
Well,
yeah.
Shout out to A to Z Sports Nashville.
Yes.
Tennessee Titans on a little bit of a roll now.
Yeah.
You know, our sister company here. So
would that be our daddy company?
I will not ever say that. That would never come out of my mouth.
Would that not be our daddy company though? Then they started. Like
yes.
They started all of the AZ, right?
They definitely did.
So we're like, that would be our daddy company.
We're going to call them our boss company.
All right, let's call our boss company.
I like that better.
All right, cool. Our boss company.
Nobody's got dang on that. But no, yeah, man, so shout out to Nashville in the building, our daddy company as
our papa company.
Our papa company, man. Is Zach back there? He probably ain't even heard that. He's so focused right now.
Yeah, he's locked in.
A to Z Nashville in the back, the founders of this thing, right? All right, Mouse in the House real quick, man. Who you got on Mouse in the House?
Man, you know, this was kind of the layup for this was easily to say the offensive line. But I'm going.
Well, I'm going to hit you with one of them.
Okay, then. But I'm going secondary of the Rams.
Huh.
You don't have Taylor Rapp in this one. Your other backup safety, Jordan Fuller, is on IR. So now you're going to have to either go with Terrell Burgess or Rush Yates. So if you go back to last week and playing
Cooper Rush Yates, too much.
But you go back and watch the CeeDee Lamb touchdown against the Washington Commanders, right? He ran that boom, boom, boom. What happened? The safety got occupied and didn't stay where he was supposed to go because having that miscommunication on the back end with backup guys sometimes can hurt you. So I'm going back to that matchup, and the mass in the house today will be whoever that backup safety is, whether it's Tyler Burgess or Rush Yates. Nick Scott's going to be good at the free safety, but whoever's playing that other safety, that's going to be a guy that you can pick on and have that opportunity to go and make a big play on him again.
Well, man, a fantastic analogy talking about, layups and whatnot since, we got a national champion here. Yeah. And we keep the whole Mouse in the House here. But let me tell you, man, I'm going to take –
you going to take that lay? Take that finger roll?
Finger roll that
One
thing.
One thing you could do was finger roll.
I can finger roll that thing. I'm gonna hit you with a Steve Nash, floater. I'm going to float it a little bit. I'm going to make a little razzle-dazzle with it. I'm going to float that thing. Heck yeah, I'm going to take the easy one. It's the offensive line of the Rams against the Cowboys defensive line. That is the clear Mouse in the House. 7 sacks last week against the San Francisco 49ers. 7 sacks week 1 against the Buffalo Bills. What do we all have in common? Some really damn good fronts.
Yep.
You got Von Miller week 1. You got Micah Parsons now. You got last week Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons. You got an interior that's playing well. D-Law to play opposite of Micah. Dan Quinn. We got a Dan Quinn, that defense coordinator.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, now I'm not saying you got to dial up the blitzes or anything like that. You don't have to do that because he throws a lot of interceptions against them, and that offensive line is dealing with a ton of injuries.
Yep.
So I'm going to say Cowboys defensive line gets at this, or they should get at this Rams offensive line. They are the easy. Throw that man here, Coach. Miles an hour.
I agree with you 100%. And I think the Cowboys, that's where they need to make their hay at today.
Yeah.
Dominating up front. Dominating up front, recreating that line of scrimmage, getting pressure with the 4-man rush, like you talked about earlier in the pregame show, was Cooper Rush threw all of his interceptions on a 4-man rush.
Matt Stafford.
I'm sorry, what did I say?
Cooper Rush.
Sorry. Goodness gracious. Matt Stafford has thrown his interceptions
all week, man.
on a 4-man rush. So I think, again, you deploy Micah Parsons at the defensive end again, and now you create those matchups. You're doing a lot of not on me, but defense. Those guys are all standing up. You don't know who's coming from where. D-Law is inside. D-Law is outside. Micah Parsons lined up in the A-gap. He lined up outside. Create that confusion, and then allow him to get after Matthew Stafford and see if he can throw some more picks to us on the back end because that offensive line is horrible.
So you got them dominating up front, but will they dominate the scoreboard? Prediction.
You know, and I hope that I'm wrong. I really do hope that I'm wrong. But I went back and I looked at the Cowboys. I looked at the Rams last year. They had these hiccups throughout the year. They had a 3-game losing streak last year, and then they ran off 5 straight before they lost to the Niners again. I think Sean McVay is going to figure out a way to just be a tad bit better than the Cowboys today. I have the Rams winning 21-17 today against the Cowboys.
Oh, you didn't know? Your
Y'all better call somebody. Listen, Jesse, listen. The Cowboys are on a roll. This defense is killing it.
I know.
There's no way. There's no way. Oh, what a rush. Okay. Dallas is going to win this game on the back of the defense. The offense is going to do just enough as they've been doing. Matt Stafford is going to Matt Stafford this thing up.
Okay.
Cowboys going to walk away with a victory here, man. I got 23-17.
Gotcha.
And 17 is it's being a bit friendly here, okay?
All right.
They only scored, 9 points last week. They scored like 7 points in week 1. Being a little friendly with the 17. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and say Dallas, again, with a very similar game as they've been winning the last 3 weeks, led on the back of the defense. Cooper Rush, another turnover-free game here. They're going to balance this thing out.
Another turnover-free.
Because
he's been itching to give that thing up
he has been
a lot this year.
He has been. There's no doubt about that. But I think they'll look at last week and say, all right, we got to chill on those 3 wide receiver sets, man. We get back to this 12 personnel. Dalton Schultz is back. Ferguson is in there. Let's get back to muddying this game up. You know, one thing that we've seen is that the Cowboys can get a W in a muddied up game.
Absolutely.
So another muddy game. It may not be pretty, but they walk away with this dub 23-17.
Listen, I'm not mad at your prediction, and I slightly want to go with your prediction as well. I think maybe I have a little bit too much faith in Sean McVay and in his ability to go out there and to manage a game. I always believe that an offensive coordinator or whoever's calling the plays, our head coach, a coach can get you a win and a half a season. I think this is one of those games where their head coach / offensive coordinator gets them a win by what and how he designs his game plan today.
Oh, they'll find their way at some point in the season. This ain't going to be the day.
Yeah. No, and for Cooper.
Defense is too good, man.
And for Cooper Rush, man, you know, people are waiting to see if the clock will strike 12 and that carriage will turn back into a pumpkin. I think today might be that day.
Dallas, don't let me eat my words here, okay? I feel really good about this game.
Dallas, make me wrong. I want to be wrong.
Right, I feel you. That's how I was week 2.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to be no 0-2, but I wasn't feeling good. But, I feel good now.
Yeah.
I feel real good now. So, Cowboys Nation, that is the Game Day Live pregame show presented by A to Z Sports. I mean, it's presented by us.
It is presented by us.
But it's brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Use the promo code ATOZ. Make sure y'all check us out. At halftime, we'll be back to discuss what we've seen from the first half. For Jesse Holley, Skywalker Steel, make sure y'all see us later. We out of here. Love you. Peace.
Peace.
I'm in my zone, on the road to the Super Bowl. Every game on the schedule crucial, it take a toll. It don't matter if we at home or on the road. You try to tackle, I'll truck a sucker and take it soul. I'm staring at 4th and goal, gotta find an open hole. A linebacker just close a hole where I'm supposed to go. So now I'm thinking my centers are all pro, so I trust he can make a walk for wherever the ball go. Yeah, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. The crowd was loud, but they stopped. Now it's silent while they watch. They stand off in the red zone. All I see is red home. Watch me get this touchdown and this W and head home.